JJK 181 begins with Ishigori and Yuta talking. Ishigori mentions how individuals who can truly ascend into an echelon of their own are the ones who have an overwhelming sense of self and a complete disregard for others. A natural disaster. We're going to talk about the importance of that statement in a minute, but as Ishigori mentions this, we cut to a panel of Sukuna in his final form, which talk about hype. This image was previously teased in chapter 117, and I also believe in one of the manga volumes. However, we're getting a much better detailed illustration laid out for us to see. Much like Mahito against his battle against Yuji, do you guys think this is Sukuna's final form, or will we get another variation or transformation from the King of Curses himself? Ishigori finishes his conversation with Yuta, calling him sweet, but mentions that wasn't supposed to be a compliment. Yuta reveals that Sky Lady is still alive, surprising Ishigori as Yuta asks about their relationship. I suppose Ishigori and Sky Lady had some type of relationship, but I don't really care. Also, for people who wanted to know, confirmed by Gege Akutame, Sky Lady does in fact have pink hair. Do with that as you will. With Ishigori and Sky Lady spared, I will absolutely guarantee that they will both make a return at some point. I say this because we got too much interesting exposition on Takeko's past, and I also hypothesize that when both characters make a reappearance later on, whether they help out Yuta or not, Ryu confirming his relationship with Takako means to me that he will somehow make up for their rocky relationship, showing that he truly cares. He will sacrifice his life for her to escape some foreseeable threat. Now, going back to Ryu's comment about Sukuna having an overwhelming sense of self and a complete disregard to others, I personally believe this is Gege foreshadowing to us that Yuta will have a showdown with Sukuna and will ultimately lose. Because Yuta throughout JJK 0 and all these recent battles have proven to all of us that Yuta does have an overwhelming sense of self, but when it comes to completely disregarding others, Yuta lacks that conviction. Remember when Yuta and Yuji faced off shortly after the Shibuya incident, and after that battle, Yuji specifically told Yuta, if it comes down to it, I want you to put me down. Yuta has seen the good in Yuji and believes that somehow in his battle with Sukuna, he can save Yuji when Sukuna fully takes over his body in the foreseeable future. And in a moment of hesitation, Yuta will lack the conviction to take out Sukuna / Yuji when they battle each other, giving Sukuna the chance to strike and finish off Yuta for good. NANI? Also, with the recent dispute over who is the better protagonist, Yuji versus Yuta, Gege will tell us through this battle, it's going to be Yuji, because he killed Yuta in front of our eyes. Well, you know, Sukuna possessed his body. You get what I'm saying. I'm calling it right now. You can agree or disagree, but I think we have enough hints to allude Yuta will face off against Sukuna and will ultimately be defeated by him. Back to the chapter discussion. Yuta asks Ryu to hand over his points. Yuta has acquired 200 points in total from Ryu, Takako, Cockroach, and Daruv. As we say farewell to Yuta, we see Miwa walking alone on a deserted road, which should obviously hint at some character development for her in these upcoming chapters. Things transition over to Shueisha Studios. Yes, Shueisha Studios, where we get the character introduction of Charles Bernard, an inspiring mangaka. Some random Shueisha employees looking over Charles' submission and comments how a comedy horror story will never work out. A comedy horror shonen will never be a success. He continues by saying his illustrations also look poorly drawn and points out someone's finger being crooked, which angers Charles, saying that's the point, and if people really care about realism, they can watch live action movies or look at photos, and proceeds to snap the Shueisha employee finger like the illustration he mocked. Charles storms off the building and encounters Hakiri, which shows off the two of them riding a Ferris wheel together, and that's the comedy we like to see here in JJK. The two keep chatting and discusses their reason for fighting in the calling game. Charles asks Hakiri for a reason to fight to make him hate Hakiri to the point of wanting to kill him, in which Hakiri responds he wouldn't read his manga even if Charles begged him to, calling him a disgusting otaku, as Charles has a stream of tears in his face, now angered. Charles versus Hakiri should be one of the most interesting battles we'll see in the calling game, considering how formidable Hakiri is and Charles joining the excellent rosters introduced in the calling game thus far, such as Reggie, Ryu, and Higuruma. Speaking of, if you want to relive Higuruma's battle against Yuji, you can click right here.